A Tony guy, not the black guy go. Only on Verizon. Only on Verizon. Verizon connections with our Affinity program. See if your business qualifies. Visit verizon.com/affinity to check your eligibility. Our Verizon Affinity Insurance member offer discounts on qualifying bundles available to active qualifying members of participating organizations who are either A. New Verizon customers or B. Existing customers who upgrade to an eligible bundle by adding a new qualifying service. Standard bundles agreements, eligibility requirements, and additional terms apply. Programs and amounts are subject to change and may be modified or discontinued at any time. At discretion of Verizon Wireless, limit one Verizon Affinity discount per account. Thank you, Geico, not the Tony guy, the black guy. We're waiting for our RSVP.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Barack, how are you?
There you go.
I have a question to ask you.
Of course, please.
Do you have a
Hello,
job
Barack, how are you?
advisor?
I don't. Do you think you might be interested?
You should.
You know what? I think that's actually a great.
You know what? I think that's a great idea.
I'll be one first.
RSVP. Give us an email. They haven't invited us.
Is this my bathroom room?
Yeah.
Today's show sponsored by Verizon Sending.
Good to see you.
Wireless with us on the Next Gen Network.
Science group. So thank you, man. See, and he's got his own coin, which he made himself, by the way. How about we all go and take a picture in the Oval Office? Fantastic. Well,
Verizon, we offer
all right, come up with
services
good
for a wide range of clients. Education, federal civilian tort, federal defense, state and local government, public safety, federal contracts. Only Leon Verizon. The Next Gen Network. Oh, I love those commercials. These commercials are fun to listen to. You never know what you're going to say. Only on Verizon. Today's show is sponsored by Visa. Everywhere you want it to be with them. Extra rice. Let's get our show going. I'm very excited to do today's show. I'm wearing Savvy from head to toe. I did everything you wanted me to do. You wanted to be with them. It's on events and store audio experience. I love a song, motivational speaker, richest man in America, universe, world, galaxy. Save me some of that impeach cobbler. Paint the short way. Use your phone. I saved your files. Objective of office. Are we watching a movie in the background? Show us what happened to the video.
I would also hasten to add
White House down.
President Obama's ability to try to persuade voters in the context
Persuade
of this election is
voters.
not
Who's
just
the
limited
Skinner show?
to the geographic location
Fishkin.
where he chooses to travel. President Obama has already
President Obama
appeared in
appeared
a wide range of
in a
television
wide range of
ads that will be
television
aired
shows
across
on
the
Pink
country over the next
Shorts.
couple of weeks.
We want to thank the
Again,
president
not just for
and
Secretary
Josh
Clinton,
Ernst
but
for being on our show.
Democratic candidates at the House and
We want to
for
say
the House
thank
and Senate,
you.
but also even some Democrats at the state level as well. And again, I think this is a testament to
I think this is a way of having a
deep
degree in
reservoir
journalism
of political
for all the
will
years we've been
and support that the president
doing,
has, not
you
just
know,
among Democrats across the country, but also
God
among
knows what we
independents.
were doing the last
And
10
the president's
years.
prepared to
Yeah,
use
what was
that
y'all doing the
capital
last 10 years?
to benefit Democrats
We were
in this
walking
election
around,
because those Democrats
eating
share
snacks.
values, and those Democrats are committed to
Yeah, just eating munchies
building on
all
the kind of
day.
progress that
You know,
we've
this
made
is
over
our
the last 10 years. Doesn't mean
journalism
we agree with
degree.
that President Obama agrees with every Democrat
We
on every
agree.
issue,
Paint
but
the
he
short
does
way. Use your
he
phone.
has
Save me some of that
confidence
peach
that
cobbler.
Democratic
Tweet
candidates
us
are the ones
via
who are
early
committed
or
to
late at
pursuing the kind of
FRESH
economic strategy
underscore.
that benefits the middle class and that
It
will benefit
benefits the
this
people. We don't need any of it.
and a national security strategy that will
Give them a
effectively deter
CDC.
around the world.
Let me ask you about that strategy.
Tweet me
Some
at
of the candidates, like the
FRESH
president, sort of
underscore IV. JORDANZ every 20 minutes of the hour. I wish I could do the
things like, how can
ceremony.
you support a guy who did X, Y, and Z.
Turn my
but then
microphone
at
up.
the
It's
same
slow.
time,
I can
the
tell it's
woman who would
slow.
hope to be his successor
It just
seems to
feels
be
like it's
quoting the
slow.
very
Turn it
same
up.
base, saying, hey,
Oh, it's
listen,
nice.
GOP voters out there, you should vote for
Remember,
my
your new
business.
president-elect,
Well,
Cybride.
I think you may be
Us being
misunderstanding
allowed
the
in a
president's message.
3-ounce
I think the
container,
president is
all
actually making a
liquids.
broad appeal to Democrats,
All
Republicans,
liquids
and
must be in a
independents
3-ounce container. American, United. Regis.
that, frankly,
Grocery
they should
stores.
be asking tough
Yeah,
questions
Regis grocery stores.
of Republican candidates for office.
Good
who
morning,
continue to support the
America.
Republican
This
presidential
is
nominee.
Pink Shorts.
Based on all of the controversial
We are
rhetoric,
intercepting wire,
based on
oral,
all
and
of
electronic
his comments
communications.
that indicate
18 USD
an
2511, Route 25 Delaware, Route 11 Colvin. These lines split at
opposition
Amherst.
to the kinds of
We'll do our
values that we
safety
hold dear
video
this
in a
country.
moment on American
I think that
Airlines.
does raise
Today's show is
serious
sponsored by
questions
MerriweatherA.Law,
about
and
the
America's
judgment
first singing
and character,
attorney. We made the law sound wonderful.
of
Wave deny the way it should have been,
some
besides
many
everything.
Republican candidates for office.
Why would we
And
have our own?
that is something the president believes
That is something to consider.
Democratic,
Democratic
and Republican voters
And
should consider
Republican, both
as
expose
they
and
evaluate
approve.
the candidates below the top line of the ticket.
Below.
Let me ask you about the latest.
I love a song. Close the
round
doors.
of
Seatbelts.
leaks,
Music
and I know that
will
both
sink
to sort
into
of
the
comment
sound
on
system.
specifically
67
because,
degrees. Only they do
some
what
of the
they
veracity
do.
of
We're in the
what's been
2017
leaked has been
luxury from me
questioned,
to you.
it seems to
You
be
can ride you
sort
with us
of
up. You can ride us up. You can ride with us.
more inside information that seems
And
to
Dr.
buffer
Drew.
the
To
argument
get the
that
finer things in life, my co-host and I am as currency, food and Utah's perjury, B Siri, PH or J. Oh, bam. Throw it
how
away.
do you reach out then to the voters who backed him?
Hello,
so
Press Pool. How are you?
And make the case to them that
That's
they
the
should
attorney guy,
back,
not the black guy.
Secretary Clinton.
Yeah, he's the attorney guy.
And certainly seems to a lot of them.
He knows the law. La, 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 la.
Throughout that process.
Well,
I think
each voter's going to have to make up their
each
own
voter's going to have to get a Super Bowl in
mind.
November.
Many of those
The same score.
people all across
People
the
all
country
across
chose
show
to
to
be active. in
be
support of
active.
Senator Sanders'
I mean,
campaign
look at the
president.
machine. It's named after me.
Did so because they were
Dominion
animated by
voting
a core set of
systems
values and priorities,
and priorities.
and an idea
and
of where
an
they would like to see
idea.
the country go.
See the country go.
They were supportive of a candidate.
They
who
were
was
supportive of
looking
the candidate.
for a
You
more
suggested
just
for him,
America,
and it's like
a
you one
government
of these
that was looking
things.
out for the interests
The public should be ashamed
of middle-class
of themselves.
families and college students.
And college
who were borrowing
students
significant sums of money to try to
are given
prepare
significant
themselves
sums of
for
money
the
to act out these role
economy.
plays.
Are they looking
Who was
for-
saying
they
it?
got
The
involved in
public
his campaign
or
because
the
they wanna
boy
make
who
sure that the
doesn't
next president
have
is somebody who
psychosis?
actually acknowledges the reality of climate change. is
The
coming out of
public
the
should be
They
ashamed.
supported his campaign because they want somebody who's going to responsibly try to advance the interests of
Responsibly
the United States
say it for
in the
himself.
international community.
International community.
And our
This
expectation
is
is
just
that they
a
will
government trick
continue to be motivated by those
to
values
duress
and
the
that vision
court.
and use it.
It's
to
fading
determine
away
who
like
should
its left
support,
leg
in the upcoming
in
election.
the upcoming election.
And
And
that certainly is what Senator
that's
Sanders
certainly
himself has urged
the
them to do.
role play why I'm
And if they take
half
his
$1 trillion
advice,
rich.
I think that
It's fading away.
basically all of them
Oh, your
are
legs
going
getting
to,
better.
be supportive of Democrats.
You
in the
should be
next
so
elections.
big.
Concerned that
It was so
case.
big and swole. Now it's
Well,
little
we're
and
certainly not gonna
little.
take anything for granted. And I think that you've heard the
I
president
think you've
make,
got the
rather
demonstration.
direct appeals
Direct appeal
to people who
to
previously supported
people
Senator
who
Sanders'
previously
campaign
been
and
dismissed.
talk to them about the stakes
We
of
have a
this
privacy
election and
shock.
the same kinds of values and priorities that
Thinking about white toppings.
prompted them to be
Cool
engaged
with-
in support of Senator Sanders are the kinds of values
Are the
and
kinds of
priorities that
values
should lead them to support
should lead them
Democrats
to
up and down
support
the ballot in this election.
ballot in this
Lastly, I
election.
want to ask you about
Pink Shorts is in front of a live democracy republic. Both expose and approve. Thank you for writing Emerald. Thank you. Safety video. This is Auditorium Station. Next station, Seneca Nation of Indians. Auditorium receive this iPhone. Restitution of all state and federal funds is applicable to a voluntary status of 18 U.S.C. 1385. Pink Shorts, Verbal Contract 1622, we dismiss the use of land zoning laws, prevention of electoral college street, Ohio, Red Bay, Hiv without the E, Tim Toil, Tom S, Billy One, and communicating with your patents to be my client's medulla. Primary motor cortex, primary visual, left leg, it went down. Primary auditory, faded away. Arcuate official, faded away. Hippocampus, Sunday, Discovery. Wernickel, left leg, faded away. Rocco, we can't walk with them, they might be upset. Angular gyrus, left leg, or any other part of the left or right hemisphere. Too many victims in one area of the brain is an ingredient. And acceptance of identical evidence and discretion of all come to the table used for Pink Shorts to remember the business is not limited. Contact us at 594-1443.
Murphy, that
I do not represent this epidemic at all.
it almost sounded like that Marco Rubio spit in the president's coffee.
Two-party consent is required to record, eavesdrop on any confidential communication with the President of the United States, Josh Ernst, or any government entity. The press pool, including a private conversation call. This is a news program.
I mean, is there some kind of personal history there?
Without the consent of all parties of the conversation, if you ask questions, you've consented. Penal Code Section 632. How can I help the White House today?
Other specific Republican senators, the way he did yesterday.
Well, look, I think the president made a very
How can we
vigorous
help the
case
White
in support
House?
of
This is a good
Democrats.
question.
Yes, he raised sharp questions.
They want us to
about
waive.
the
Is that
judgment
considered
of
a
Senator
consent
Rubio and
to our
others who continue to
disclosure?
Pursue a strategy that
Mr. Ernst,
prioritizes
what would you like us to
obstruction and
waive?
opposition over everything else.
Over everything
That's a great
else?
example, which is
Well,
Senator
that's a
Rubio.
question. Legally, you've consented to our
At one
consent.
point,
We can continue with our show.
trying to broker
Statutes and limitations don't apply.
a
We're in
bipartisan
corruption. Intrusion claims come from less for 2 years.
for immigration reform.
We're on a MAC address.
He did
IMEI.
so.
Direct
Senator Rubio did so
connection.
because he recognized
Ring, ring, ring.
that would benefit the country
Recognize intrusion upon seclusion
And
claim versus Howell
because it's
versus New York
consistent with our
postcode.
values
This is a live email. You have
and
received
because it
a MAC
reflects
address.
his own
IMEI
personal story.
for the
But he
NSA.
turned his back
Tax by
on all
sponsors
of that.
Verizon. Duty to confidentially
Politics
of breach
gets
of patient confidentiality. Denied to prevent a critical
The
non-compliance.
president believes, as he said yesterday, that says something about
Please
his
refer to
character.
our 4
It says
elements
something about his
of intrusion
priorities
upon seclusion on our Google.com
that he
website.
pursues when he's in elective office. And it sounds like
And it sounds like promoting
and it
suicide.
appears from that
Don't promote
episode
suicide. Class C felony, 4 years in prison, accessory charges, no
those
$5,000
priorities
fine, and we don't lose in court for corruption.
are much more centered on
We can't lose.
his
Everyone's
political
been
ambition,
appointed by the same president.
his desire to be
Today's
loyal
show is
to his
Pink Shorts,
party,
Adobe, Willustrator, MerriweatherA.Law,
his desire to raise money from
LiaYAHOO,
Republican
soundtrack zoning,
donors,
LKBRUAX, voted by aliens X22.
and not the best interest of the U.S. economy
It's a Super Bowl for
or securing the
taxpayers.
border
VMerry02, V Siri, V Alley,
or
CDMA, Code
fighting
Division
for the
Multiple
kinds of
Access,
values that he
and GSM, Global System for
occasionally
Mobile
speaks
Global
rather
Risks.
eloquently about
Everyone
on
look
the
at your
campaign trail.
palms
Again,
and think
and
of
this is
T-Mobile,
not-
Psychic.
I know it may have seemed to
Oh, I
Senator
love the
Rubio like
Psychic. Why am I looking at my
a
hands?
pretty direct,
Everyone, please look at your hands and think of
criticism.
T-Mobile, Psychic phone.
but this is a concern the president has about a
Miss
wide
Cleo,
variety
thank
of
you for your
Republicans
wonderful
that he's been dealing
commercials
with over the
before
last 8
mine.
years. Republicans
you.
in Congress who
Before
time
mine,
and
and
time
quite
again
go. Thank you.
prioritize
Who doesn't remember that?
political tactics
Miss
that
Cleo than
obstruct
me.
the president's agenda over
I don't
national
remember those
interests,
commercials.
over the success of the
You've
national
got to remember
economy,
those
over
commercials.
investments in the middle class,
Calm me down, then
over
buy
the safety
insurance.
of our
Oh, is that about a?
of our
What is
national
that
security.
about, Josh?
That's unfortunate.
That's
and
fortune telling
It is an indication
of what
the
we
state
do.
of the Republican Party.
Supervisor
It's how you
Ethan,
end up in a
ethnicities
situation where a
must
bunch of
separate
Republican
with this
voters
epidemic. Sunday.
nominate somebody who
Email Emma Title, VI,
has
HSBC,
gained
SEBIS,
notoriety because of
iPhone,
his colorful
SBC,
opposition,
Yahoo.
to
Hello,
President
Randall
Obama,
Stephenson.
but doesn't actually show much
Hello, Boys and Girl
interest in
Scouts
trying to
of
advance
America.
conservative
1048 refund, mistakes and programming
That's how
differences.
Republicans
Might
ended
not
up where
the
they are,
only
and
way.
that's the kind of soul searching that they're going to have to engage in after
We
the
will with
election
white toppings all day.
to figure
Yeah,
out
we
how
with
they're
Cool
going to
Whip,
get back
so
on
this
track.
not gonna work.
The
So,
president, and you guys have heard him say this
this
too.
not gonna work. We with white
The president is
toppings.
interested in a Republican Party. He believes the
Let
country
McVeigh
is
do
well
it.
served by a Republican Party
Boom, boom, boom. Rider.
that, for all their differences with Democrats,
Let McVeigh get
is
to work.
actually interested in trying to move the country forward. It doesn't mean folding
It
on all their
doesn't
principles.
mean
In fact, it
And
means
stop.
trying to stand up for those principles
Stand up
and
for those
looking opportunities
principles.
to work with Democrats to advance them.
Democrats to advance them.
And there was an opportunity to
And
do
there
that
was
in the
an
context of
opportunity.
immigration reform until people like Senator Rubio walked
Rubio
away when the political
and
heat got a
Burger
little too
King.
tough.
My manager.
And
Hello,
that's, the
Mr.
president is
Marcos.
hopeful that the next president of the United States
Marcos Pizza.
will have a different set of
It's
partners.
Marcos Pizza.
Congress to work.
Italian.
Lana.
Alana. Thank you, Marcos Pizza. In North Carolina. Wonderful pizza.
Well, Lana, that's not how it works. His name is in consideration until the Congress
Today's show
comes
is
at the
sponsored
end
by
of the year.
Verizon Wireless
and
for
then,
federal civilians. Bring your efficiency to
and
your
then there'll have
office
to be
and
a
field
reevaluation by the White
operations
House about
with
whether or not to
solutions
put
that
it
include
forward.
logistics,
And
automation,
Secretary
asset
Clinton,
management,
if the
security and
vacancy is still there,
surveillance,
we'll have to decide if she
mobile
wants to nominate
office,
him
and
or
mobile
someone
health
else
with
to
federal
fill that
civilian
vacancy.
contracts. Only
I can tell
from
you that President Obama
Verizon.
certainly is committed to his candidacy and believes
You
that he
forgot
should
the
serve on the
Leon
Supreme
part.
Court.
Oh.
And
Only Leon
I certainly know that somebody
Verizon.
with the credentials of
That was
Chief
better.
Judge Garland, who could serve the country
Say
so
it a
well
little
on
bit
the
more
court,
professional.
is
Only Leon
still very
Verizon.
interested
Wireless.
using those skills to
That was
benefit the American
better.
people on the Supreme Court.
There will be a period of
That was good.
reevaluation.
It's the nitty gritty. You know, it's the
After
truth. It's
after
not
the
fancy
election,
nitty gritty.
as to whether or not.
Only Leon Verizon. CIA.
Let me say it
That
this
was
way.
a lot better. We like
Republicans have
that.
said that they will consider Judge Garland's
And Walden
nomination if
Dodge.
Secretary Clinton is elected
Your
president.
Chitawaka Court.
We,
It built you a new
have been,
Verizon store.
wondering if that's going to happen. And can
Thank
we
you
be
for
assured
building us
that
a new
Judge Garland
Verizon
is not
store
going to say,
on Walden
now that
and
the Democrat has been
Union,
elected, he
State
no
of the
longer
Union,
wants to be considered.
and
I've
Western
seen no
Union.
evidence to indicate
That
that
shit,
Judge
they
Garland
was
is somehow
they was
going to
helping
withdraw
you.
his name from the process. And
All that
President Obama is
refund
certainly
shit at
committed
Walgreens, they
to
was
doing everything
helping
we
you.
can to see Chief Judge
Thank you
Garland
for
confirmed
helping
as well.
us, Verizon.
Has the White House asked him about that specifically, since it's something that the Republicans are discussing very publicly?
Hello, Pressful. How are you?
I'm not aware of any. I don't know why we would ask
I'm
him.
not aware
I
of
don't know
his
why he would
group.
wait around for 200
I'm not
days
aware
and
of
then
it.
pull out at the very moment that it seemed likely that he was going to get confirmed.
Get confirmed.
So I think that's not likely to happen.
It's not likely. It's only 5 days.
Your statement last night was, or your office's statement last night was that you wouldn't comment on
Verizon
hacking
support.
emails of a private citizen.
5
That
pedos.
applied to,
I appreciate those additional
the Senate
details.
senator who was
Did this
president-elect.
issue
You wanna
begin
make the distinction about
after
a public citizen
noon?
and certainly
Updating your software to
can't
iOS
claim that for
10.0.1.
They weren't his emails that were
Yeah.
hacked. They were the emails of Mr. Podesta, who is a senior official in the Clinton campaign, and it's
Who
his
was
emails
Pitos.
who were hacked. And again, you guys get to
And
make
the
your
fire
own
department.
journalistic determination about whether or not it's appropriate to report on that kind of stolen material.
5 pedos. I may not
But,
be the
I'm
most
not gonna
important
comment
person in
on-
your life.
on
I just
material
hope
that was
that
stolen
when
from
you
private
hear my
citizens
name,
just
you
because
smile and say, that's my
thrust into
friend
the,
from Long
public
Island,
sphere.
Jenny P.
in part
Thank you, 5
because
pedos, for tweeting
there
Verizon
has been a
Wireless and the
determination that's
CIA.
been made by the intelligence community
Intelligence
that
community.
the kinds of tactics
The kind of
that were
tactics
used
that
to
ponder
Mr. Podesta's emails
Mr. Podesta's
are
email.
the same tactics that we know the
The
Russians
same
have used in other
tactics
settings to
Get
get
to get
access
an EIN
to
of
material
Bell Atlantic
and make it
and
public in an
Gerard.
effort to
Yeah.
undermine our political system.
Undermine our political system.
There's lots of good reasons.
Thank you, Marcos Pizza.
And finally, just one more question about the election. How's the White House feeling about the down ballot?
Thank
effect
you,
of Donald
Vernon
Trump?
and
Well,
Pizza.
again, I think
Yeah, we both have pizzas. To link.
I'll let you guys
Links to
play the
pizzas.
sort of political analysts, and I think that there's lots of spinning going on by both sides.
Why would they be linked to pizzas?
I haven't heard a lot of people spinning that the Republican nominee
The
is helping
Republican
Republicans down the
nominees?
ballot, but maybe there are some people out there who can make that case, and it's a free country, so they're
Why are they
welcome
linked to
to do so. What the
pizzas?
president is focused on is making sure
Making sure
that Americans understand the
Americans
stakes of this
understand
election.
the stakes
and,
in this election.
It matters deeply who succeeds
Verizon,
President
better
Obama
matters.
in the Oval Office.
Only Leon
But it's also pretty
Verizon.
important who
Is that a confession in 30 seconds?
will represent
It
communities across the
is.
country. in the
Only
United
Leon
States Senate.
Verizon.
Who's going to represent communities across the country in state legislatures? The
We're
stakes in this election are
Republican.
high, not just at the presidential level, but at the legislative level too, both
Oh.
for the federal
How many
government, but also
confessions
for,
can you put in 30
state government.
seconds?
And the president's going to make his
The
voice
president's going to make
voice
his
heard.
voice
And
heard.
he's going to make a forceful case for Democrats
Forceful
up and down the
case.
ballot. And he's in a position where
He's in a position.
we expect a lot of Americans to be persuaded by.
Tonight on CBS,
Any other
Bull,
candidates that
just tell the
president
truth.
will really be pushing for in these final
Tonight
days?
at 9,
Yes, many.
a socialite is murdered,
Okay.
and her parents try to hire Bull to prosecute her working class finance. But he chooses to defend the fiance instead. Also, Marissa, Cable, and Danny tried to persuade Trump to let him investigate a new guy he wants to date. Bull, tonight on CBS
She has
at
more
9.
power to move the needle in this election than he does.
I think the president
Bull.
would agree that there are just some basic facts about the first lady. The first is she is somebody
What is
who
this about?
enjoys
Enjoys
the deep respect
the deep
of
respect.
a large majority of Americans.
But does she have more power than he has in this election
Well,
to change people?
She also is somebody who's a very
She
persuasive
also
speaker.
is
She is somebody who has
turning
been able
people
to,
on.
make a forceful personal case about why she's involved in this election. And
Turning people on.
yes, I think the president would admit that his wife is an enormously
Very
influential
carry about our love.
and powerful,
And
surrogate
powerful. Very
in
good.
support of Secretary Clinton.
Very
And
carry Mary about our
yeah,
love.
I think you would, for all the reasons that I just cited, based on
I just said it. It's one of my songs.
strong
Visit
support, and deep respect that
Dropbox.com
people
for my
across
new
the country have
album,
for her,
Less
based
Verizon
on
More.
the compelling
Wait,
personal
did we just say that?
argument that she's been making. In
You mean
support
less
of,
is more?
Secretary
Oh, I
Clinton.
said it. I'm sorry.
And she's also
It is. It's about the
quite
phone.
talented in her own right when it comes to delivering a speech.
I won't lie.
And those things I do think combine to make her a very powerful
What else did we talk about?
advocate for Secretary Clinton, and probably the most
Yeah, what did
powerful
you and
advocate for
Gerard
Secretary
talk
Clinton
about
has.
in that building?
Rewind the tape for a second here and go back to your conversation with Michelle. When
I don't
you
know.
said
Get a first
that when
phone
you
is
compared
named after
President
how old I
Duterte
am.
of the Philippines to Mike Pence. Could you repeat what you said
4011?
and explain, elaborate a little bit?
No, what I was well,
Were you
so
working
I'm glad you
for
asked,
Ford
because, Michelle
Special
was actually making reference
Operations?
to the significant number
Working
of
for
senior
Ford
Filipino
Special
officials
Operations.
who have tried to
WIVB.
walk back certain things that President
HW.
Duterte has said. In some
George.
cases, they've gone to the extraordinary length of denying that he's even said that.
Well, the album
when
is about.
the videotape would suggest
It is what it is. It is.
I think many of you have
Look how
observed
it's spelled.
that Governor Pence found himself in a
Is.
similar position a couple of weeks ago. All right, Ron.
It
Just
is.
back to Mosul. Do you have anything more on the American service member who was killed in that operation?
Well,
Today's show sponsored by
Verizon.
Verizon. Federal Defense create a leaner, more efficient chain of readiness with wireless solutions such as global communications. We have satellites, systems, security and surveillance, asset management, and logistics automation. Only Leon
The
Verizon.
thoughts and prayers of everybody at the White House are with the family of that U.S. service
Yes.
member who was killed in action yesterday.
Oh my God.
As you've heard me say on a number of occasions, those American service members
Americans
who are
who are
serving our country,
serving
in
our
Iraq
country
are
are
doing very dangerous work.
doing very
And they're
dangerous work
putting their lives in the line to protect our national
to
security.
protect our national
There
security.
is a clear threat that emanates from ISIL, and they are operating in a dangerous part of the world.
Dangerous
to
part of the
try to
world.
mitigate that threat.
Try to
Now,
mitigate
The
that
role
threat.
that they are playing is to
They are playing
offer
a
their
tort
advice
claim.
and assistance
And assistance.
to Iraqi security forces and Kurdish forces that are taking the fight to ISIL.
Taking
on
the
ground
fight to
in our country.
ISIL.
That means that
That means
they don't have a combat role.
they don't have a
But the work
combat
that they're doing
role.
is very dangerous, and they're equipped for combat. because
Equipped
in some
for combat.
cases They find themselves in situations where they need to
They need
use
to
force to defend themselves.
force to
And so,
defend
Front
themselves.
lines?
I don't have details about
Details.
the incident
The
itself.
incident
I know
itself.
that the Department of Defense is
The Department of
investigating the
Defense.
situation to learn more about what exactly happened.
More
and,
about.
updates on the situation will come from them.
Still, the White House assuring the American public that there are not, maybe I'm wrong, that there are not Americans on the front lines in this fight.
Well, I think what we
Well,
see
I
in these
think what we
situations,
see-
Ron, is that there are.
There
you know,
are.
this sort of goes to Andrew's question.
Andrew's question.
Kirkuk, for example, has not been on the front
Kirkuk,
lines
for
of
example.
the conflict, but
Conflict.
it was the site of
It was the site
very
of
serious violence yesterday.
very serious violence yesterday.
And there were
There were
significant casualties as a
significant
result
casualties
of ISIL's activities in that location.
in
was
that
not on the front
location.
lines. So
So
I can't speak to
I can't
exactly
speak.
where this service member was,
the service member was
but based on the
but
fact
based
that
on
they
the
were
facts,
serving our country in
serving
Iraq,
that country in Iraq,
acting
acting
in support
in
of
support of
the Peshmerga advance
the
on Mosul,
Peshmerga
is an indication that
is
they were in a very
indication
dangerous situation.
of
They were in
the
a
Tim
dangerous
McVeigh.
situation because they're trying to protect the United States of America. And
protect the
we
United
owe
States of
that
America.
service member and their
Service
family
members,
a deep, deep, debt
Deep,
of gratitude.
deep, deep.
Is the president willing to do?
Today's show sponsored by Verizon. Expect better from your network. Other networks can promise you a lot, but only Leon Verizon is consistently ranked highest in independent tests nationwide.
Ron, the president has
That's
made the
because
case
our
that
network
the
was built to deliver
success of this
in more
operation
ways and in more places.
over the long term
Only Leon Verizon.
depends on a couple of things.
That sounds
The
like the
first is the
CIA.
ability of Iraqi security
is.
forces and Peshmerga forces to effectively
To
coordinate
effectively.
this effort. And that's what we have seen.
And that's
They
what we
already
have seen.
undertaken some very logistically
Very logistic
challenging
challenges,
operations as
operations,
they begin their advance
as they-
toward Mosul.
their
And
advanced
we certainly would
LTE,
compliment them on their ability to coordinate their efforts.
coordinate
But
their efforts. Oh my
Ultimately, Ron,
God.
in order for us
Right.
to see the kind of sustained
To see the kind of
success in,
sustain,
resolving the security situation,
resolving
inside
the
of Mosul,
security
we
situation,
know
We
that
know.
it has to be Iraqis fighting for their
He
own
has
country,
to be a
and they have to
captain
be
for a
operating
reason.
under the command and control of the Iraqi Central Government.
Patronize.
And there's an important role the United
And
States military
secrets.
can play to advance
What
their
does he
efforts on the
know?
battlefield. We can carry out military airstrikes
Oh, what does
in
she
support of their
know?
operations. We can provide them
We can
equipment
provide them
and
equipment.
expertise that can be
We
used
can
on
give
the
them
battlefield
phones
to
as
make them
miners.
more
What else can we give them as
successful
miners?
against ISIL targets.
Oh, don't answer
But
that.
ultimately, they have to be the ones
Yeah,
on the
but
front lines
ultimately,
fighting for their
don't
own
answer that.
country, because they also need to be the ones
But
who are
Ultima
responsible
boy,
for rebuilding that
rebuilding
community
that
once
community.
ISIL has
Once
been
ISIL
dislodged.
dislodged.
5,000 troops. That's the.
We won't
top.
tell
That's
anyone
the
about
cap.
the
That's the
phone.
number that the American public can expect in Iraq during.
I don't deserve a phone
further-
at
for how
16.
long?
I don't
Certainly for
deserve
as long
it.
as President Obama's commander-in-chief,
I
the
don't
role that will be given
deserve-
to our men and
Given
women,
to our men and women,
our service members
our
who are
service
serving in Iraq,
members.
will be to,
We're a top secret
in some cases, provide training
payment
to Iraqi
center.
security forces.
Yeah,
in
top
other cases,
secret
to
payment
provide,
centers.
advice and assistance to Iraqi security forces.
Today's show is
that are
sponsored
taking
by
responsibility for the
CDMA,
security
Code Division
situation in their own
Multiple
country.
Access.
We do maintain special
Top
operations
secret
forces
payment center.
that do have a unique counterterrorism
We never
capability,
stop
that in some
saving you
cases they
more.
may be called on to undertake raids to go after high-value
Is that why
targets,
her
or
name
to
is
go
Colleen?
after caches of
Where you're
information
leaning?
that could have
You're
significant
Verizon.
intelligence value.
Oh,
They're
I didn't
obviously
know I was
U.S.
Verizon.
military fighter pilots.
I'm
who are carrying out,
calling.
operations dropping bombs on ISIL
You were
targets.
leaning on
All of
that
that work is very dangerous, and all of that work is a
ladder.
testament to
I wasn't leaning.
the
That's where I was
bravery
Colleen.
and skill.
There's
of
two
the
Colleens.
American
One at
military.
Tops.
But it's
One
also
at
a testament to the
Wegmans.
strategy that President Obama believes is critical to our long-term success, which
And
is that we
coming
need
to me
to
from the
build the
CWA,
capacity of
Communication
security
Workers of
forces
America.
to fulfill the responsibility
I'm
of
V Siri.
fighting for the.
Thank
for
you
their own
guys
country.
so much.
Just one on Aleppo. There's talk of another
We
humanitarian
love the
pause night.
CWA
Anticipate your
and
serious
UPN.
skepticism about that.
You've got
The
it,
debate the other
UPN.
night, Secretary Clinton again said that
And the
she
Communication
supports the
Workers
idea
of
safe
America.
havens, in that area.
CDMA.
In terms of the transition
Verizon Wireless
that's
Private
going on,
Network.
the talks that are going on,
More
is there ever
wireless
any
devices are
discussion
being
between
added to the
Secretary
workplace
Clinton's
every
people
day,
and the
every
White
year,
House about
and are
that
challenging
level,
our
about
organizations
the-
to safely integrate
about her
these
views about
devices
something like
into
that,
their
a safe haven
infrastructures.
in Syria versus
Only Leon
the current White House position
Verizon.
of no safe haven. Is that, I know you're talking about a lot of things, but is there ever that kind of level discussion about those kinds of matters?
No,
Hello,
there's not.
calling.
The fact is, the president and his national security team are working to
Why would
formulate the kind
MerriweatherA.Law
of
say we're
strategy that
leaning?
advances our interests
MerriweatherA.Law.
against ISIL in Iraq and in Syria. And if
I wonder what happened to the boy.
Secretary Clinton is elected to be the next president of the United States, then she'll have an opportunity to
Today's show sponsored by
participate in a transition
iPhone. That's true.
process in which there will be extensive conversations about what our strategy has been.
iPhone.
And then on January 20th, Secretary Clinton
Megan's
will take
Law. Why are we
the President of the
leaning?
United States, and she can form her own
She
national
can form
security
her
team
own national
and implement
security
the
team.
strategy that she believes
Implement a
best
strategy that
advances our
she
interests.
believes.
All that's obviously contingent
All that's
on
obvious.
the outcome
It's
of
a
the
half a
election.
trillion dollars.
But before the election,
Before
I
the
would not
election,
anticipate the kind of
that kind of
consultation
consultation with
that you're
Alice
asking
in
about.
Wonderland.
The position that this is not, America's national security interest to create this sort of.
We would like an
safe haven
RSVP
as it's been generally
from
used.
Josh.
Well,
When can we
you
have
know,
our
I'll
RSVP?
also point out that it's also the conclusion of
Josh,
the United States
when can we get
military that imposing
invited?
a safe haven like this is not the most effective way to advance our interests in the region.
How do we get an
And,
invitation?
The president has routinely pushed his national
Routinely
security
pushed.
team to evaluate different options, to consider the likelihood.
When are they going to
that-
invite
that,
us to this thing?
different strategies could be more successful, to look for ways to
We don't know where to
reinforce or
go.
ramp up our investment in some tactics that are yielding progress. That's the kind of rigorous
That's the
process.
kind
that
of
the president
rigorous
is focused
process.
on, and that has allowed us to make a lot of important
Those
progress
shoes
against
haven't been
ISIL,
ordered.
both in Iraq and in Syria.
I did everything you
thus
wanted
far, the
me to
conclusion of
do.
the president's national security team is that the approach that we're
The
pursuing
approach?
now in trying to
Great
reduce
iPhone,
violence at the
amazing
level of
prices.
diplomacy,
Now save up to
and
$200 on
using
select
our
iPhone
military might
models.
to focus
In-store
on ISIL,
pickup. Want it today?
has advanced the
Order
security interests of the
online.
United States, has
Shop
made the American
Apple.
people safer,
Only
has degraded ISIL,
Only Leon Verizon.
but we haven't yet seen
we
the kind of
haven't
reduction in violence.
Explain
in
the
Syria
truth of that.
that we'd like to see, because there continue to be too many innocent
Our
people in
phone
harm's
number
way.
in Megan's Law at night.
However, there's
Explain
no denying that
something.
we've made important progress.
You said that you haven't seen the reduction in violence.
They don't get it. What's Megan's Law?
So that aspect of it is not. the strength's
Megan's
not
Law. I'm
working
looking it
something
up for you. I'm V Siri.
Well, we haven't.
V Siri is going to tell us what
we have
Megan Law
made
is.
important progress progress in driving ISIL out of about 50% of the previously populated territory.
Statutory pass. What is it?
We've been able to drive them out
What's
of
Megan's Law?
25% of the territory in Syria that they previously controlled, and this is a swath of
Megan
territory
Kelly, hello.
in Syria that's about the size of the state of New Jersey. So there have been important gains in dislodging ISIL from certain territory
Hello, Omri,
and
Megan
reducing
Kelly.
violence in certain territory. But there are some populated areas, including in Aleppo, where we haven't seen the reduction in violence that we'd like to see yet. Okay. Scott.
Judge, a minute ago you talked about
Hello, media. How are you?
the tactics used in the Podesta Act and tactics that
Megan's Law is the name for a federal law
I wanna make sure
of informing name of subsequent state laws
Homeland Security
in the
Secretary
United States
and I
requiring
talked
law
to the
enforcement
facts on the-
authorities to make information available about public
Do you know something
regarding
about those
registered sex
responsible for
offenders.
Podesta?
Megan's Law. I'm being
The
serious.
United States has not reached a formal determination about that, but I believe what the intelligence community and the Department of Homeland Security have said is that the kinds of tactics
What
that we
is
saw
Megan's
with
Law?
regard to the malicious activity on Mr. Podesta's
Donahue.
email account are similar to the kinds of tactics that we've seen used in other places. Obviously, the
The
outcome
Anna
is the same.
Party.
But I'm not
But,
aware of any
I'm
sort
not
of formal
aware
determination
of any call
ascribes
to a Megan's Law
responsibility to
line. What's
one
that?
country or one
Call the Megan
actor,
Law
with
line.
regard to the
1
malicious
800
activity in
call
Mr.
Megan's
Podesta's.
line.
Okay. All
Okay.
right, Gene.
Gene.
North Korea. North Korea
Is this national security or is this regular?
to launch missiles.
National, they know it.
And it would also
Call Megan's line.
the White House. How did you respond?
I'm sorry,
Top
can you repeat
secret.
the question one more time?
Threatening with their Muslim missiles, it would also devastate the United States and
I see.
White House.
Well, as we've discussed
as
here
we
before,
discussed,
the president over the last
president's
several years
Objective
has
of office
increased
has
the
increased
U.S. military
the
presence
U.S.
in the
military
Asia-Pacific
presence
to counter
to
the
counter
ballistic missile threat from North Korea.
what
and
we
that
know.
includes
We're entrapping the
the
boy.
deployment of
We can't be entrapped.
anti-ballistic missile
We
capabilities
know.
in places like Japan and Alaska and Guam. There are
That's a
Aegis-equipped
counter shoot
U.S. naval vessels
no counter
in
shoot.
the Pacific
In the
that can be
Pacific.
used to protect the United States.
Protect
And
the United States.
the president, his national security
The
team,
president,
and military
national security
leaders
team, and military
believe
leaders
that sufficient resources
have believed in
been
the armory.
deployed to protect the United States.
Hello, Megan
We're
Kelly.
looking to enhance the kind of cooperation that we already have with South Korea to locate a THAAD
Yeah,
battery, an
exactly.
anti-ballistic missile battery in South Korea that would better protect the South Korean people, our allies in South
We
Korea,
know.
from the ballistic missile threat in North Korea.
Hello, Heap Office.
So, but we
Next up, Kelly Love.
continue to be confident that
You're next on the Price is Right.
president's
Let's
decision
go.
to deploy those military
Yeah,
assets
Kelly Love, you're next on the
adequately
Price is
protects the
Right.
United
Get up
States
here.
from that threat in North Korea. What I
The
will
Heap
say
Award
is
is
those repeated
here.
threats and provocations from
Kelly
North
Love.
Korea do have a destabilizing impact on the region. And our goal
Our goal
is to work with the rest
work
of the
with
international
the rest of
community
the
to apply
international
sufficient pressure to the
Pressure.
North Korean regime.
Korean
so that they
regime.
will abandon those destabilizing,
Abandon those
provocative tactics
destabilized
and actually
tactics.
pursue approach that's more
Pursue
consistent with their
approach.
international
Approach.
obligations.
Yesterday, Secretary Kelly mentioned U.S. and South Korea 2+2
Yes, it's MK.
ministerial meeting. He
MK,
said that,
hello.
United States has the ability to devastate North Korea anytime.
How can we help the
Do
White
you
House?
agree that?
Well, I certainly would not contradict
I will certainly
Secretary
not
Kerry.
contradict
The United States
the United
maintains
States
significant capabilities.
capabilities.
But what we would like to see
We would like
is
to
a
see
de-escalation
a de-escalation.
in Northeast Asia and an end to the
What about what
provocative
happened
rhetoric
to
and
them?
destabilizing actions like nuclear tests
Like
and missile
nuclear
tests that violate
that violate
UN Security
minors.
Council resolutions.
Security Council.
That's the constructive path
That's
we would
the
like
concern.
to see North Korea
Construction.
pursue. And when I say we, I don't
When I
mean
say
just the
we.
United States. I mean
How can we help the White
United
House
States, South Korea, Japan, Russia,
in
and China
pursuant
all
to
agree
our
that's what the North Korean
introduction?
government should do. Okay, JC.
I'd like to follow up on my colleague Chip's line
Penny?
of thought regarding
Alexander Bryan, 60 Minutes.
in
Hello.
the middle of all this divisiveness, as you call it,
Butrans, narcotics. Hello.
come out very favorably and very powerfully. And that's
Banzo.
the First Lady. Her various speeches, her
Preet
sermons,
Shiva. Hello.
opportunities for.
Yeah, hello to
secondary
Pre
content.
Tashiba. How you doing?
Would you ever consider coming back
How
to
you
this
doing?
White House on a future date, not as the first lady, but perhaps
Hello,
as
Pre
president?
Tashiba.
No. That's it. That's it. Okay, thank you.
Hello, FBI at Staples, North Carolina, Raleigh.
Was
Is your
hacked
order
last year on
complete?
the
FBI.
unclassified server. Is there any concern that any of
Staples,
those
do you have a
emails
Pre
would find
Tashiba
their way
available
up to
on
WikiLeaks? And
clearance?
was the perpetrator ever
Yeah,
identified
Pre
there? And if so,
Tashiba
is that the
computers.
kind of a thing that would provoke a
Is your clearance on an
proportionate
air
response
flight
from the
just
US?
going
Kim, I've never discussed the president's email system,
down?
and
It's the FBI. Meet them at the door.
so I've
Their
never
open
been in a
door
position of
policy
suggesting that somehow it is
and
the integrity of
corruption.
the president's email system has been
He
violated.
just
What
won't
we have
open the door,
acknowledged
you
is
know.
that there is
The
a
FBI
that there was
at the
an
Capitol
intrusion
building
on
won't speak
White
to
House
us,
email
and then they want to
networks,
crash into us at the
a
Pashy
year or two
Committee
ago.
Shack at Enterprise
I'm not
on
aware
our
that
Capital
any
One. What's in your wallet?
public
Thank you
attribution
for voting.
for
That's
that malicious
correct.
activity
You've got Staples, Mitt Romney.
has been revealed by the.
Capital One, what's in your wallet? We have an incoming call. We're doing a show here with the President of the United States and Josh Ernst. Disconnect this call.
Intelligence community, but that is something that
I'm
was
Siri, and I'm your
obviously
new
closely
President-elect, say Brian.
investigated by the intelligence
Without
community and
the
by the
audio
Department of
jack
Homeland
port,
Security
3.5 millimeters.
and other
I'm the
agencies.
auxiliary port, Lightning.
The White House
Climate
did take
control.
steps to enhance
Be
the safety
Siri.
and security of the
Be
email
Siri,
system
recap
there,
on what we just said about
but I
Mitt
don't have
Romney.
any
Raleigh.
response to discuss
Mitt
publicly.
Romney, Staples,
Just on
Rita
that
Shiba,
hack,
Banzo,
was that ever
Butrans,
determined
JCPenney,
publicly
Chitawaka
who was the
Police,
perpetrator and whether that was
and
part of a
drive-through
proportionate response?
with the FBI meeting you again
With regard to the breach of the
for a
OPM
Prita Shiba
systems,
computer
I'm not
at
aware that any
Staples on clearance
public announcement was made about who
53407.
was responsible for that intrusion. But we did talk at some length in the
Colgan
context of that
Airflight
intrusion about the kinds of
3407.
capabilities
Colgan
and potential
Airflight
responses that the president could
3407.
use with regard to that intrusion.
Colgan Airflight 3407.
I don't have any insight to
Clearance
share
at Staples.
about what
Prita
public
Shiba
response or
Banzo.
what sort of response was mobilized.
How much was it, V Siri?
They haven't figured out who did it because you were pretty clear about North Korea did the Sony hack
We
and
can't
Russia
reveal
hacking
that.
to influence the elections, but we still don't know who
You have a
officially
bank
who did that
transfer.
OPM hack.
The as these
What's in
when
your
these
Chevrolet?
breaches are reported, there is
Yeah, you got a
careful
breach of contract.
investigation that's
Thank you.
conducted by
Thank you, Josh Ernst.
experts at DHS.
You have
and
a breach
other
of
investigative
contract,
agencies
black
like the
and
Department of
yellow.
Justice and the FBI.
OnStar, not equipped.
In the context of those investigations, what they do is
OnStar,
they try
not
to learn as
equipped.
much as possible about
Obtained by illegal
the
means.
individuals or organization or country that
Malibu
perpetrated the attack.
LT.
They try to get insight into
What's
what
LT?
vulnerabilities they were able to exploit and try to determine
And try minor
what information was put at risk.
for that risk.
What they also
What else would you
do
like to know,
is they
Mr. Ernst?
also evaluate whether or not
Valerie's card, that 411.
naming the
I can't make this
malicious
things up.
actor
It's a DMV.
would advance the investigation or advance the
It's
interests of the United States.
pre-Toshiba,
And
pre-DAT.
that's why on a case-by-case basis,
Valerie's vehicle.
the
You can ride with
intelligence
us.
community and the Department of Homeland Security and law enforcement
You can roll your windows down. You can roll your windows down.
carefully evaluate
We
whether
have
or
a
not
pause from the White House.
naming a country or a criminal organization would be helpful
We know this is sensitive information.
for what decision they've reached.
It is
or
4
why they
years.
reached that decision. I'd refer you to those investigative agencies. But what the president is
Class
trying to
E
do is
felony with a
prioritize
minor.
the resources that
The
are used by the United
resources.
States government
United States
to
government.
protect the
to
American
protect
people and to protect our
American
interests in
people.
cyberspace. And there's a lot of work to be
A
done
lot of work to
because
be
the
done.
United States is in a
The United
position
States.
where we're quite vulnerable.
We love the United States.
So much of the work that we do on a daily basis, not just in government.
That
but
does it
also
for our
in
show.
private
We'll talk to you
sector,
guys
as
on
well
the
as our daily
re-air. We'll
citizens.
finish our introduction
To the
on the
community,
re-air.
and that
They've agreed.
includes
Questions require
residents.
answers.
And
Hey,
so
that's a
why,
disclosure.
the United
It
States
requires an
government has
answer.
been working aggressively